budget also represents an attack on the Affordable Care Act. For some reason, Republicans have been obsessed, Mr. Speaker, with attacking the Affordable Care Act. Gave it a nickname, Obamacare. But the great Jim Clyburn flipped the script and said, yes, it's Obamacare because President Barack Obama cares about the American people, just like we do as House Democrats. That's not what is being reflected right now on the other side of the aisle. We care about the American people. We care about their health. We care about their safety. We care about their well-being. And so I'm proud to stand here on the floor saying, yeah, we're going to continue to defend Obamacare until the very end, no matter what it takes. So President Obama spoke to this Congress as well. He talked about presidential leadership. We've seen it year after year, decade after decade, century after century. President Lincoln, President Roosevelt, President Truman, President Johnson, President Clinton, President Obama lifting up the American people. On the health care issue. So I think it's important that these words as well continue to echo out throughout America. President Obama said that there's still tremendous hardship all across the country. But there is a sense that we are making progress because of you. But even before this crisis, he of course speaks about the Great Recession. Even before this crisis, each and every one of us knew that there were millions of Americans across America, millions of people across America who are living their own quiet crises. Maybe because they had a child who had a pre-existing condition. And no matter how desperate they were, no matter what insurance company they called, they couldn't get coverage for that child. Maybe it was somebody who had been forced into early retirement, in their 50s, not yet eligible for Medicare. And they couldn't find a job. And they couldn't find health insurance. Despite the fact that they had some sort of chronic condition that had to be tended to. And now we're on the threshold of doing something about it, he said to the United States Congress, Speaker Nancy Pelosi and others who were great partners in this effort. He said, and now we're on the threshold of doing something about it. We're a day away. This is aspirational leadership. After a year of debate, after every argument has been made by just about everybody, we're 24 hours away. But it may also be possible, referring to his critics that existed at the time, who sat on the other side of the aisle. He said, but it may also be possible that they realize after health reform passes and I sign that legislation into law, that it's going to be a little harder to mischaracterize what this effort has been all about. Because this year, small businesses will start getting tax credits so that they can offer health insurance to employees who currently don't have it. Because this year, those same parents who are worried about getting coverage for their children with pre-existing conditions now are assured that insurance companies have to give them coverage this year. Because this year, insurance companies won't suddenly be able to drop your coverage when you get sick, or impose lifetime limits or restrictive limits on the coverage that you have. President Obama went on to say, maybe they know that this year, for the first time, young people will be able to stay on their parents' health insurance until they're 26 years old. The Affordable Care Act was a tremendous step in the right direction. It's aspirational leadership. Tens of millions of Americans now have health insurance coverage as a result of the Affordable Care Act. But this reckless Republican budget, this one big, ugly bill that President Donald Trump has directed my Republican colleagues to sign off on, to recklessly rubber stamp, and to bend the knee to, even though this bill and its assault on health care, on Medicaid, on the Children's Health Insurance Program, on Medicare, and on Obamacare will rip away health care coverage from the people my Republican colleagues are here in Washington to represent. It's extraordinary to me that as a result of this one big ugly bill, this all-out assault on health care, going to lose coverage, thrown off of health care, set in motion a chain of events where hospitals will close, nursing homes will shut down, people unable to get the care that they need to live a life of dignity and respect. And that as a result of the all-out Republican assault on health care in the United States of America, people will die. Tens of thousands, perhaps year after year after year, as a result of the Republican assault on the health care of the American people. I'm sad. I never thought that I'd be on the House floor saying that this is a crime scene. And House Democrats want no part of it. No part of it. It's a crime scene going after the health and the safety and the well-being of the American people. And Mr. Speaker, we want no part of it, which is why we're fighting so hard to stop it. Serving in the United States Congress on this glorious floor, having to be part of a crime scene. Shameful. All-out assault on the American people. President Biden worked hard with many of the people in this Congress who still serve try to build upon this great legacy, this journey that we've been on, set in motion in modern American presidential history by FDR, inspired by the great vision of President Truman, enhanced in years that were cut short far too early by President Kennedy, and then powered in such an extraordinary way by President Lyndon Baines Johnson. Built upon aspirationally by President Jimmy Carter. And then advanced the Children's Health Insurance Program by President Bill Clinton. Furthered in such an extraordinary way by President Barack Obama. And then built upon and enhanced by President Biden. None of us are perfect, but that's part of our march toward a more perfect union. That's part of the charge that we have as public servants, given that sacred charge in the preamble of the United States Constitution. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union. Leadership that tries to perfect the American journey. President Biden spoke to this in August of 2022. Talked about the challenges, pushing back against special interests that are often the forces trying to stop progress on behalf of the American people. This one big, ugly bill is filled with giveaways to special interests. Here in Washington, D.C., I'm disgusted by that. It's not what lawmaking should be about. President Biden, reflecting upon the challenges of making progress on behalf of the American people, says in August of 2022, and yet we've not wavered. We've not flinched. We've not given in. Instead, we're delivering results for the American people. We didn't tear down. We built up. We didn't look back. We looked forward. This law that I'm about to sign finally delivers on a promise that Washington has made for decades to the American people. Guess what? We're giving Medicare the power to negotiate. The power to negotiate lower prices on behalf of the American people. This means seniors, President Biden goes on to say, are going to pay less for their prescription drugs, while we're changing circumstances for people on Medicare by putting a cap of a maximum of $2,000 per year on their prescription drug costs, no matter what the reason for those prescriptions are. That means if you're on Medicare, you'll never have to pay more than $2,000 a year. No matter how many prescriptions you have, whether it's for cancer or any other disease, no more than $2,000 a year. I don't care who in this town is trying to take credit for something accomplished by others. President Joseph Robinette Biden did that. He did that. He did that as part of our effort to lower costs on behalf of the American people. None of us are perfect. There's still work to do. But the 46th President of the United States of America did that. Inflation Reduction Act, he went on to say, locks in lower health care premiums for millions of families who get their coverage under the Affordable Care Act. Last year, a family of 4 saved on average $2,400 through the American Rescue Plan that I signed into law that Congress voted in place. President Biden's talking about the continuation of our march toward a more perfect union, the work that we in this Congress, many of us who had the privilege to serve over the last few years, did to try to expand and strengthen the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, by enhancing the premium tax credits available so that millions of additional Americans would actually have the ability to get access to health care. And in this one big, ugly bill, Republicans are setting in motion the explosion of those tax credits that are designed to provide affordable health care coverage to the American people. Leadership requires courage, conviction, compassion. And yet what we've seen from this administration and its co-conspirators on the Republican side of the aisle, Mr. Speaker, is cruelty, chaos, and corruption. And it's all been morphed into a toxic mix now contained in Donald Trump's one big ugly bill. An extraordinary assault on the health care of the American people. I mentioned earlier, Mr. Speaker, that I've taken to the House floor to share stories from the American people. Stories available to us in connection with debating this bill. But I'm going to do my best to make sure that we have a representative sample of why so many Americans all across this country went to bed in fear and are now waking up in horror because Republicans are trying to jam this one big ugly bill down the throats of the American people. An assault on health care, an assault on nutritional assistance, an assault on children, an assault on veterans, an assault on farmers, an assault on everyday Americans. Crystal, who's also from the great state of Alaska, said that after my husband passed away suddenly, I was unprepared to pay all the bills as a part-time stay-at-home mom, and working part-time while my young girls were in school. I applied for SNAP benefits. And was so thankful I received them, for it helped me so much. And I was so thankful it put food on our table. I didn't have to worry about how I was going to buy groceries while paying the other bills I had to take care of. The SNAP program has helped me many times, and through those times, I was struggling financially. And so I'm so thankful it was there when I needed it most. I am no longer on the program, but it was one of the biggest blessings in my life. During those hard years after my loss, thank you to the government for helping me. We all need help at times in life. And I think this program should remain available to those who really need it, who are struggling. Thank you, Crystal, for sharing your story with us. Mr. Speaker, Talise wrote to us, lives in Alabama's 5th Congressional District, a district currently represented by Dale Strong. So thankful for the representation of my good friends Terry Sewell and Shamari Figures in the great state of Alabama. Talise writes to us, I'm a single mom doing everything with my one income. My ex-husband refuses to pay child support or split the cost of anything related to my daughter. If it wasn't for SNAP, we'd probably have very little in terms of food because I am always running on E. I'm so beyond grateful for the assistance. Curtis writes to us, Mr. Speaker, from the great state of Arizona, in my disabled senior status, I would be in a dire nutritional status, if not mostly for the SNAP nutritional assistance, a godsend. For so many Americans, that is what SNAP has been, a godsend in a time of need. And now the nutritional assistance benefits will be ripped away from millions of Americans in Donald Trump's one big ugly bill, a bill that Republicans are prepared to recklessly rubber stamp. You also heard from Diana, great state of California. Diana writes, SNAP has helped my family tremendously during this difficult time. We really appreciate all the help. My husband was diagnosed with cancer, and we have a little one at home. It's been difficult taking care of everything. Please keep this benefit to help people get on their feet. Diana lives in the Inland Empire, California's 33rd Congressional District, represented by the chairman of the House Democratic Caucus, Pete Aguilar. Diana, Pete Aguilar is fighting hard for you. Just like every single House Democrat are fighting hard for the American people to protect you as best we can from this cruel assault on nutritional assistance. We're going to continue to fight hard for you.